Happy Saturday morning, folks. The sun is just coming up, just starting to get light. Sunrise here is at 7:16, and one of the things with living a homesteading life, especially when it gets colder, is you have to lock the chickens up and you got to let them out at sunrise. And as you see, I've let them out, and it's quiet. I just thought I'd share. Enjoy the quiet. So this is one of the things with homesteading that people don't talk about is a lot of times you're up before dawn, and you got to do things, especially when it's cold out like now. You got to do things like make hot oatmeal for the chickens, or cook for the entire family, get that on the table before everybody goes out. The cows have got to be milked at the crack of dawn, of course. Goats the same way. And people don't talk about that because, everybody wants to romanticize. Now, my neighbor has put up this beautiful lighted Christmas tree. Isn't that cute? Um, but I wanted to kind of touch on that because I've heard so many people online, mostly in the prepper community, talking about how, if SHTF happens, they're just going to shut down their homestead and they're just going to live off their homestead, and yet they're not doing the things now. So, reality check. It's a lot of hard work. It is not just, I'm just gonna raise chickens. Well, I raised my chickens from the egg. So I had to get an incubator. I borrowed an incubator. Had to incubate the eggs for 21 days. Hatched out the chickens. Then, as they were being raised, I had to make sure that I cleaned their butt. Yes, you have to do that with chickens, so that they didn't get clogged up, because if it gets clogged up, it'll kill them. Had to make sure they were warm. Had to make sure that they were in a secure area, because as you can see, right up there, that's a hawk's nest. So I do have predators here. You just don't. I have to feed the chickens. I have to water them every day. I have to make sure that I keep an eye on them. Like, I have one hen right now who I'm keeping an eye on, and so I'm treating the entire flock with antibiotics because she started to get what they call egg bound. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but egg bound is when they can't lay an egg and it's stuck in the canal. So thankfully we got that cleared up, but she's still not doing 100%. So just so I'm treating the whole flock just to be on the safe side. So it is things like that people who do not have chickens, or who do have chickens, who just do it, and they don't think about talking about the fact that, hey, you could lose a hen in 24 hours from being egg bound. Um, you know, uh, the chickens are prone to mites and lice, and you have to take steps to make sure they have good dust baths area, and you have to feed them certain things. They have to, especially here in the winter, you have to increase their protein level because they're burning more calories to stay warm. Makes sense, right? But I've heard so much from various people in the prepper community about the fact that they're not doing the things, but they like to talk like they're doing the things. Anybody who is actually doing even partial homesteading, which is what I'm doing, just partial, will tell you I cannot grow everything. I cannot raise everything that my family needs. So this idea of 100% off grid for most people is unachievable because they don't have the skills and the thinking that they have. And I want to clarify this for you, because the thinking that people have that they could just turn off the electricity, turn off the city water, and just live like their ancestors. You can do that, but if you don't have the skills, you're going to end up killing people. Because water has to be sanitized, food has to be prepared in a certain way and stored a certain way. And if you don't have those skills, you're going to die. So I want to be gentle with how I'm saying this, but the reality is if you are not doing the things and you haven't looked around and seen what the state of this country is in right now, specifically the USA, then you're fooling yourself. Okay, everybody's talking about, well, we're going into a depression. Honey, we're already in a depression. Now, I don't know about where you live, but where I live, a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people have already in shift. You'll notice that crime rate is increasing. That's because for those people, they are in shift and they're doing whatever they can do to feed their families, or to somehow or another get money to keep the lights on, or a lot of them are to, unfortunately, support their drug habit or their alcohol habit or whatever habit, right? So that's increasing. That's going to continue to increase. They're trying to tap down on that, but when people don't have any hope of changing their circumstances, then they start to get bitter and angry. And when they get bitter and angry, they lash out at innocent people. So, thinking that you can just close down your homestead and you're just going to stay on your homestead, I guarantee you that somebody knows what you got. Okay? Whether it be the governments or your neighbors or, the freak down the road, right? Somebody knows that you got stuff. And if they ain't got it and they get desperate enough, they're going to come and try and take it. Okay? And even if that doesn't happen, which we're seeing increasingly a lot of crime going on, even if that doesn't happen, you can easily lose your stuff from doing something stupid. Okay? Doug and Stacy. Doug actually put up a video about wood stoves, cleaning out the wood stoves. And how many people have burnt down their cabin or burnt down their house because they put a hot pan of hot coals on a wood floor and it caught on fire from the heat from the pan? Stupid things like that happen, okay? And we're going into times now, especially 2024, where you're going to have to be able to learn how to survive the hard way. And I say that because it looks to me, this are my predictions for 2024, it looks to me like the economy is going to collapse. The dollar, especially. That we're going to have the real estate is going to collapse, and then the economy is going to pop. Because right now we're in a bubble. You should be taking this opportunity to look around. If you are new to prepping, to look around and learn everything you can right now. And if you can, pick up hard copy books of survival. Specifically, things that you want to look for is foraging books, how to can, how to dry, dehydrate foods, how to smoke foods, fishing, how to make lures, how to do fishing traps, shelter, how to build various shelter, specifically bushcrafting skills, how to make a fire, various ways to make a fire, because yeah, you can say, and I've got one, it's sitting in my pocket right now. You can say, well, I got a big lighter. Okay. That's good for a while. Not gonna lie, that's good. That'll serve you for a while. Then what? Cause see, this is what people don't think about. The Great Depression started in the 20s and 30s. It was 3 to 4 years before the height of the Great Depression actually hit the country. How many of you have got 3 to 4 years worth of supplies stacked up? I know I don't. How many of you have a way to partially sustain yourself if everything went to pot? This is the reality, folks. This is what a lot of us preppers on YouTube are trying to tell you, is we see that the life that we had prior to 2019 is not coming back. We see that it is going to get worse. And we have opened up our lives and our hearts to try and warn you what is coming. So let me tell you what I think is coming. Economic collapse, which is going to cause a civil war because everybody's going to go insane. Also, possibility of war here with foreign entities on U.S. soil. That's a real possibility right now. Terrorist attacks, real possibility. I honestly do not think that we are going to have an election in 2024. I don't think it's going to be allowed. We have all kinds of astrological events going on, specifically solar flares. I think that's going to increase exponentially this year. I think since we're going through a very dirty part of space, that we're going to see more and more fireballs and meteors. I think that's a real possibility. And I think because of that, and because of the increased sun activity, we're going to have more extreme weather. It's a cycle. It was written about on the archaeological tombs. We're heading into those times. And you might call me a little bit crazy, but I sense that coming. And if you found my channel, you probably sense that coming too, in some form or fashion. You need to think about what you are going to do if society as you know it stops. Just think about this. Right after World War II, when Russians went to the food markets, they would go in and they would have to stand for hours for a loaf of bread or a half a gallon of milk. Hours. There are now more of us on the planet. Okay? Lots of people starved to death during the Great Depression. If you say, and I've heard this too, you say, well, I'm just going to go in the woods and hunt whatever I want to hunt. Okay. During the Great Depression, they almost extincted all deer in North America, all game in North America. This is why the Gaming Commission was formed, is because wild game became, even for squirrels, became almost non-existent, because everybody was doing that. Everybody was going in the woods and hunting. Same thing with fishing. This is why the fisheries were developed, is because all the fishing, the lakes and the streams and along the shores were depleted massively. And we now have over 100 million more people just in the United States alone. That's not a feasible option, folks. I want you to look at 2024 in the next couple of months, because I think you've got about 3 months before everything just starts to go to shit. I want you to take this opportunity to look at your pantries, to look at what you have available to sustain you if the electricity gets turned off, if the water gets turned off. Please, please, I cannot beg you enough, have 2 weeks of food and water on hand. I'm not saying all grocery stores will be closed. I'm not saying you're not going to be able to barter and get food or water. What I'm saying is it's likely to be 2 weeks to a month of absolute chaos. And if you can keep you and your family away from that chaos, why wouldn't you do that? So that's some of my thoughts this morning. It's a chilly Saturday morning, and I'm still getting over my cold. And don't think that you're just going to go and homestead when you've never done it. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of a learning curve. I started with 12 chickens. I ended up with 6. Okay? That's just a reality. Okay? And it broke my heart when I lost 6 of them. But that's the reality. Y'all have a blessed day. Bicycle.